A celebration of life was held yesterday for Peggy Anderson. She was tragically killed at Pinnan's Meat Shop last week. The public was invited to pay their respects at St. Peter's Cathedral, then a lunch at the Lombardi Club in downtown Rockford to honor Peggy's legacy. Meanwhile, Pinnan's was closed so workers could attend. Some guests even wore t-shirts that read "Pinnan Strong" in support.
Seeing the amount of support in the community for Peggy has just been phenomenal. Pinnan's is so well loved in the community for everything that they do. Almost everyone that I come in contact with, including the pastoral services we had this morning, even our priests go to Pinnan's and get there and knew Peggy. So, there's just so many avenues of seeing support in the city of Rockford.
Pinnan's is expected to open this morning at 8 for their normal business hours. And right now, that man accused of killing Anderson is still on the loose. Here's a picture of that man. His name is William Jones, and he's 40 years old. If you know any information about where Jones is, you're encouraged to call Rockford Police or send a tip to their anonymous tip line. And a Winnebago County man sentenced to 7 years in prison for embezzling $100,000 from an Illinois company. 53-year-old Stephen Bennett pled guilty last year to a Class 1 felony count of theft after using corporate credit cards for personal purchases. This happened when he was the executive director of community living arrangement homes ran by LTC Support Services in Galesburg. The EMTs accused in the death of an Illinois man has appeared in court, and an attorney for the man's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit. The 2 Springfield paramedics charged in the death of Earl Moore Jr. have been charged with first-degree murder for improperly restraining the man. The Sangamon County coroner says Moore's cause of death was a homicide from asphyxiation because he was restrained face down. Also in Springfield, attorney Ben Crump was on hand at a news conference announcing a wrongful death lawsuit had been filed on behalf of Moore's family.
Because Earl life mattered. There are going to be a lot of people who try to marginalize Earl, but we won't let them do it. We won't let them to define the legacy of Earl Moore. The people who knew him best will define the legacy of Earl Moore.
The 2 paramedics are back in court today for another hearing. In that case, they both remain in jail.
Now to a consumer alert. The debate over our country's debt goes far bigger than your stocks or retirement account. Raising the ceiling is feared by some political pundits to be used as a bargaining chip between Republicans and Democrats. Lawmakers do have more time to negotiate those terms now that the Treasury is using, quote, extraordinary measures to keep the U.S. on the right side of the potential default. Instead of collapsing, Congress will now have until summer to get the deal done. This comes as our representatives in D.C. are set to visit our area. Both Senator Tammy Duckworth and Representative Darren LaHood will be in the Forest City to tout big projects and development. But the questions we'll be asking them are about how they will negotiate quickly to put you at ease about the country's financial future. We'll have coverage of the developing negotiations and reaction from our elected officials on their approach to the debt ceiling later today. Now to a developing story. One of the biggest breaches in Supreme Court history is still a mystery. The Supreme Court says it's investigating the leak of the Dobbs opinion draft and has come up short. After a lengthy investigation, the High Court revealing they still don't know who leaked a draft opinion from the Dobbs case, reversing Roe versus Wade. The investigative report says the court should implement better policies in handling of sensitive information.
And one of our local reps in D.C., Dick Durbin, has major concerns about the leak, but hopes this investigation leads to more transparency. Durbin said in part, quote, "It's important that we address serious concerns about the court's lack of transparency and refusal to adopt a binding code of ethics. As a marshal, the Supreme Court continues her investigation into the leak. It's important that we allow her process to continue," end quote. And let's check in with your Weather Authority meteorologist. What's it looking like for our morning, Claudia?
Well, this morning we're dry, a little bit cooler. Overall, really, your Friday's going to be cooler than especially the 40s that we saw yesterday. Early this morning may end up catching a couple flurries, but in terms of that travel forecast, looks like drier conditions will settle in for a majority of our day today. Temperatures may briefly drop into the upper 20s and then back into the low 30s they go. Really not going to warm up much past that as we do stay dry most of our day. Good road conditions are expected. As we get closer to the weekend, we do have a chance for some accumulating snow. I'll break down those details coming up in my full forecast. Manny.
Claudia, thank you. Your 13 News time is about to hit 5:06. Happening today, the appeal for cash bail across the state after mixed reactions to the Safety Act. Let's get you caught up on how we got here. Earlier this year, 64 counties sued the state over the Pretrial Fairness Act, which ended cash bail. In the last couple days of 2022, a Kankakee County judge ruled in their favor, making the ending of cash bail unconstitutional. And on New Year's Eve, the Illinois Supreme Court said cash bail would stay in place until they made their final ruling. Now, 13 WREX got a copy of a motion filed by both sets of attorneys laying out the schedule for the appeal. The process will start today, with the last listed action being oral arguments sometime in March. After oral arguments, the Supreme Court will hand down their final decision. And right now, the assault weapons ban is being challenged in court as well. The suit was filed in Effingham County by Thomas DeVore on behalf of more than 860 plaintiffs. They claim the law violates several constitutional rights. The suit is seeking a temporary restraining order. Now, if granted by a judge, people could one, buy and sell assault weapons as the case goes through the court. A decision on that restraining order is expected later today.
And one community is handing out an extra security measure to help those who live in a high crime area. The city of Freeport is giving ring doorbells to residents who live in the area you see right on your screen. They are part of the city's pilot program, which they hope will help solve various crimes. To receive the cameras, residents must live in this area and have Wi-Fi. The city says that 23 cameras are still up for grabs. You can pick them up today at 8 a.m. at the Freeport Police Department at 320 West Exchange Street. And a local community is taking steps to address the ongoing teacher shortage. Sauk Valley Community College partners with a dozen area high schools for an education pathway. Sauk Valley says it's seen its education enrollment double over the past 2 years since implementing the program. Funding from the Illinois State Board of Education goes for another year. As part of the program, kids get some practical experience and find out what it's actually like to be a teacher, which could lead them to pursuing it as a profession.
It is the start. And the more kids that we can get out of high school interested in education, move them through the community college and into the 4-year for their professional educator license, it's all a win.
The Illinois State Board of Education says there are more than 2,000 unfilled teacher positions in the state. That includes 18 in Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties, which are the schools featured in the partnership with Sauk Valley. And in positive local news, a Harvard junior high 8th grader wins big in a national essay contest. Isabella Lazaro was recognized as the middle school first place award winner in the National Association for Bilingual Education's 2023 Bilingual Student Essay Competition. In her essay, Lazaro explains how being bilingual strengthens the connection between all generations in her family. It was chosen out of more than 4,000 other applicants.
And a local hospital, FHN, has awarded 4 scholarships to college students that have a desire to pursue a path in the medical field. Students who had to write an essay about their strengths and goals to support the healthcare needs of FHN and the surrounding community. Top candidates interviewed for it, and the 4 students are receiving a $1,000 scholarship are Keegan Coaster, Joe Namio, Brenna Schneider, and Crystal Gonzalez. Coming up, one social media platform is making some adjustments to help users manage their time better on the app.
Your 13 News time is 5:09. Friday morning may feature a few flurries, but the rest of your day will stay dry. The weekend does bring us a chance for some accumulating snow. I'll have more details in my forecast.
And for local news, weather, and sports on your schedule, make sure you download the 13 News app. Just search 13 WREX in the App Store or on Google Play. I'll be right back.
Welcome back. You may want to grab the fondue set, order a cheese pizza, or make a grilled cheese sandwich with mac and cheese on the side, because today we're celebrating all things cheesy.
January 20th is National Cheese Lovers Day. We don't know how making cheese all started, but the earliest records of dates back to 5500 BCE. Cheese has a special place in Americans' hearts and diets. This is just one of 18 other cheese-specific days honoring cheese in some form.
There's a National String Cheese Day in September, National Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day in April, and National Cheesecake Day is in July. Manny, are you a fan of cheese?
Claudia, I love cheese.
So do I. We were just talking about it in the break. I think every day at some point there's cheese in one of my meals, whether it's a little bit in my eggs, whether it's even just like a cheese stick. I still grab those sometimes. Or dinner, you know, if it's on a burger or something like that. I don't think I'd be able to cut it out of my diet.
I don't think so either. I think my favorite part about cheese is just the variety.
Yeah.
It's just so every single cheese is different. They've been aged. You have your whites, which are a little more mild. Then you have your smoked Gouda.
Stop. You're talking about the perfect charcuterie board right now, okay?
I haven't even gotten into the dips or the melted cheese.
No.
We'll leave it there. And if you're looking for a quick dinner option tonight, Taco Bell is bringing back its fan favorite crispy chicken wings.
The bone-in wings coated in queso, queso seasoning, I should say, will be on the menu for a limited time only. 8 wings will only cost you about $7. You can check out the Taco Bell app to find out which locations sell them.
Claudia, I'm a huge Taco Bell fan, but I don't ever recall them having wings. I remember them having fries.
Yes, the
but
fries.
The wings, I've never had the wings from Taco Bell. Have you?
No, I don't know how I feel about it either. Well, they also had some kind of pizza, was it? Like a taco pizza or something like that?
Mexican pizza.
That's what it was.
And it actually, during the pandemic, they ran out. I think they were like having a backlog.
Really?
Yeah, so like you would go to their things and it's like, oh, you've eaten all the Mexican pizzas. We don't have it anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to see how they taste, and just, I don't know, I'm really curious about it. I never even knew that they had that, so
I did not either.
We'll have to see how it goes.
I'm very interested in seeing.
Well, if you're looking for a little me time from your busy week, Instagram is rolling out a quiet mode feature.
It's meant to help users focus and set boundaries with friends and followers on the social media platform. When the feature is turned on, notifications will be paused, and the profile's activity status will say in quiet mode. If someone sends the user a direct message, Instagram will send an auto reply telling the sender quiet mode is on. While the feature is available to all users, Instagram's focus appears to be on young people.
The company frames quiet mode as a tool to help with studying, and could be used for teens if they spend a specific amount of time on Instagram late at night. Not a bad idea. It kind of reminds me of the what's it called?
Like do not disturb.
Yes, and how you can actually, I didn't realize this, but you can pick in your settings if you want the person that is trying to contact you. I know on text message it comes up like they have do not disturb turned on, or notification silence, I think it is. You can have that pulled on so they know that you're not going to hear the notification.
Right.
But interesting to have it on an app. I won't be surprised when all the other ones follow suit.
You're very right, as usually it does happen.
Yes.
I think it's a great feature. I think, sometimes we need just a little break from social media.
Yeah.
You don't want anyone bothering you, especially when you want some me time.
Exactly.
I don't blame them.
I'm right there with you on that one.
Well, closer back to home, we all need some me time, and hopefully the weather will cooperate today. Maybe we can have some me time outside, or we'll be inside, Claudia.
Definitely going to want to keep it inside at least. A cozy blanket. We'll have some snow showers into the weekend, so that'll really set in some of those cozy winter vibes. But today, good news is we will stay dry. As of right now, we're seeing a couple of those flurries moving through on exact track. A lot of it already exiting our area. May still catch a few snowflakes early on, but drier conditions are expected to set in as we head into the rest of your week. You'll notice a lot of that activity stayed mainly to the east of I-39 and continuously exiting as we head throughout the rest of our morning. Dry conditions really take hold for your Friday. Along with dry conditions, you can expect that cloud covers to stick around. Through the afternoon, we will transition from cloudy to just mostly cloudy skies a little bit later, and temperatures may briefly drop into those upper 20s closer to mid-morning, but then we'll climb just a couple more degrees right back into those low 30s. That's really all we're going to get today as we stay cooler for your Friday. May even end up noticing a little bit of a breeze later on. Winds may gust up to about 25 miles an hour, I should say, and we'll climb into those lower 30s as we drop even cooler into tonight. We'll fall into the lower 20s for your Friday night. Any plans you have a little bit later, make sure you're bundling up, but we'll stay dry, mostly cloudy at that, even into portions of your Saturday morning. It's not until we head into Saturday night, early Sunday morning, where we will see some of those snow showers reaching us. Temperatures will roughly stay the same within those low to mid 30s this weekend, but some may even see some accumulating snow. Taking a look at future track, a lot of that activity will build in later into your Saturday night. Here's just after 10 p.m. heading into the overnight hours. A lot of this continues to move through early into Sunday morning. Just before 5:30 may still linger through portions of our area, but you'll notice it quickly exits, leaving us with dry conditions for the rest of the day on Sunday. So might end up waking up to a couple of inches of snow. Really going to stay below about 2, it looks like, for most of the area. Some of us may get a little closer to that mark. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see how all of this shapes up, especially as we get closer into the day tomorrow. Temperatures will stay within those low to mid 30s moving forward. Besides that chance for snow over the weekend, it looks like we stay dry to both Monday and Tuesday in your most accurate 10-day forecast. Late Tuesday is when we see our next chance for snow to move through. Looks like it'll linger through portions of your Wednesday before exiting once again, leaving us with dry, but this time a little bit cooler temperatures. Looks like we'll fall into those 20s and stay dry, just mostly cloudy through the extended forecast. For your weather trivia today, when was Rockford's snowiest winter? Was it A, 2007 to 8, B, 2010 to 11, C, 2013 to 2014, or D, 2020 to 2021?
Claudia, I really feel like I'm back in class because you mentioned this at some point. I remember in the last couple. Yes, I think it's been mentioned. I think you mentioned it once. So I'm trying to remember, and it's very challenging, but I'm going to go with B, 2010 to 2011. Just in my guess.
B? Well, it is A. It was 2007 to 2008. And in fact, that winter, Rockford saw 65 inches of snowfall. Just to give you an idea, in comparison, on average, we see about 37.1 during a winter season. So nearly double, definitely picked up a lot of snow that winter. And honestly, I'm kind of jealous.
I think we're all missing that snow just a little bit. But I don't wish it was 2007 to 2008. I'll take the below average weatherfall for the season. Coming up, a mother shares her story of undergoing treatments for cancer, meanwhile causing changes to her ability to have kids. How she was able to stay hopeful through the process. Just ahead in today's Health Minute. Thanks for staying with us. In 2022, there were an estimated 1.9 million new cancer cases right here in the U.S. And according to the American Cancer Society, and treatments like chemotherapy can cause changes to fertility that can be temporary or permanent. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has a story of a cancer survivor who lost her ovaries, but not her hope of having more children.
In 2020, with a newborn at home, Shelly Batista headed back to her job.
I was pumping more at work, and that's when I noticed a lump in my breast.
At first, she thought it was a clogged milk duct. A biopsy revealed that wasn't the case. Despite having no family history, this new mother was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer and the BRCA1 mutation.
What 34-year-old thinks, oh, I probably have breast cancer? So it was very surreal, very shocking.
Almost as devastating, the thought of getting through cancer and not being able to have more children in the future. So before chemotherapy, a double mastectomy, and the removal of her ovaries and fallopian tubes, Batista met with Dr. Kara Goldman.
She knew that this chemotherapy would save her life, but would likely take her fertility.
8 healthy embryos were frozen. And 1 year after her cancer treatment, Batista was cleared for pregnancy.
There's a tremendous misconception that you have to have ovaries in order to carry a pregnancy, but actually the uterus and the ovaries function quite separately from each other.
There were 2 failed embryo transfers. Then they tried a 3rd time.
We didn't want to get our hopes up too high, right? So when we got the phone call from Dr. Goldman, she called me herself. We were very ecstatic.
During the first ultrasound, another surprise.
And she moved the Doppler a little bit, and then she was like, oh, look, there's 2 of them.
Twin baby girls, born 2 years to the day Batista had been declared cancer-free.
Yes, I always wanted, at least 3 kids. So this was amazing.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Heading out the door early this morning, you may notice a couple flurries. If you are heading out to the school bus, definitely grab something warm. Temperatures will briefly drop into the upper 20s, hitting about 29 degrees closer to 8 a.m. Will stay dry but cloudy and still cool into your afternoon. Heading back home as we kick off the weekend, temperatures won't really warm a whole lot. We'll stay within those low 30s, may see mostly cloudy skies, as we'll end up seeing a chance for some snowfall heading into your weekend. I'll break down the rest of those details coming up in just a little bit. Manny.
Thank you, Claudia. Coming up, some Amazon warehouses in Illinois are among other states under inspection by OSHA. We're breaking down why. Plus, looking for leaks. One of the biggest leaks in Supreme Court history still has everyone confused. What's being done to make sure it doesn't happen again? Right now at 5:30, lawmakers in Washington now under pressure to avoid a major default. Along the Treasury Department was able to push those payments.
Plus, Ring camera rollout. One local police department is handing out cameras to residents to help solve future crimes.
And one of the biggest leaks from the Supreme Court still causing confusion. More on what's being done to make sure it doesn't happen again.
From 13 WREX, your weather authority. This is 13 News Today.
It's January 20th, and we've officially made it to the end of our week. Happy Friday to everyone. Good morning and welcome to 13 News Today. I'm Manny Estopinan.
And I'm Claudia Olak.
And thank you for joining us this morning. We'll get to those top stories in just a few moments. But let's first check in with your weather authority meteorologist. Claudia, it's been a wet week. Hopefully it's looking a lot drier today. What can we expect?
Yeah, definitely not going to need any umbrellas or anything like that for your Friday. Good news is, but might catch a few flurries this morning. It's also going to be a little bit chillier for the end of our week. Right now, most of us sitting within those low 30s, if not upper 20s, 29 degrees in Mount Morris, 31 for Freeport, and 32 in Rockford. May still drop into those upper 20s briefly, even closer to about 8 or 9 o'clock before we end up climbing back into the lower 30s. There's that activity that moved through overnight, especially further east of I-39. Some of us even saw some lighter snow showers, may still catch some flurries through the morning. Otherwise, we'll stay dry for the rest of our day today. Can't say the same as we head into the weekend, however. Snow showers will accumulate as we head into your Saturday night and leading to those slick spots early into Sunday morning as we may see some accumulating snow. Keep that in mind, but I'll break down those details coming up in my full forecast, Manny.
Thank you, Claudia. 13 News time is 5:31. Let's get to our top story this morning. The U.S. has now hit its debt ceiling. That means the clock is ticking for Congress to prevent a financial meltdown. The head of the Treasury Department says they'll take measures to keep the country paying its bills, but that will only last until early June. Meanwhile, the pressure continues to build for Congress to come to an agreement or risk an unprecedented default. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said he expects the White House will have to get involved in the discussions.
We'll end up in some kind of negotiation with the administration over what are the circumstances or conditions under which the debt ceiling be raised.
Potential consequences of a long debt ceiling standoff range from market turmoil, crashing Americans' retirement accounts, to the government being forced to prioritize federal payments, deciding which will come first among Social Security, federal salaries, and other payments.
With the national debt ceiling reaching capacity, the impact of the national debt crisis could potentially impact you.
13 WRX's Dylan Valencia spoke to economic professionals from our area to learn how this can affect you at home.
The national debt ceiling is currently at $31.4 trillion. The debt ceiling is the maximum amount the federal government is able to borrow, with it recently reaching its maximum limit.
Well, it's kind of like hitting your credit limit on your credit card, that if it hits to a certain point and you try to charge, no more charging can happen. It just means some pay checks that would typically come out of the U.S. Treasury would not be able to be, administered.
Along with this financial issue affecting the U.S. on a grand scale, it also affects citizens severely right here in the state line. The U.S. Treasury will not be able to pay checks that millions of people depend on.
They won't be able to pay Social Security pensions. They won't be able to pay government employees. They won't be able to pay the bills that the government has. Now,
if the government is no longer able to borrow, the national debt would not be continued to be paid, which can also affect veteran benefits from being paid. 13 WREX received statements from multiple congressmen regarding this matter. Congressman Darren LaHood said, quote, "I do not believe defaulting on our national debt is a prudent decision for our credibility or our economic and financial stability. However, we must take steps to reduce our debt and limit out-of-control spending coming from Washington." Meanwhile, Bill Foster says, quote, "For too long, the debt ceiling has been weaponized during budget negotiations, creating the potential for massive disruptions to America's financial system that would have drastic consequences for the worldwide economy. Along with a lasting national impact, it will have a worldwide impact as well."
because so many of the world's economies are based on trade with and dealing with the American government. See, a lot of foreign governments buy these bonds as investments, so they know the government will pay them back. Well, now the government can't pay those bonds back, so other countries will stop investing in the United States.
The Treasury Department is authorized by Congress to take extraordinary measures to prevent the national debt from defaulting, as one has never happened in history.
If the debt ceiling is not raised, several of these impactful issues could start as early as June.
And a celebration of life was held yesterday for Peggy Anderson. She was tragically killed at Pinnan's Meat Shop last week. The public was invited to pay their respects at St. Peter's Cathedral, then a lunch at the Lombardi Club in downtown Rockford to honor Peggy's legacy. Meanwhile, Pinnan's was closed so co-workers could attend. Some guests even wore T-shirts that read "Pinnan Strong" in support.
Seeing the amount of support in the community for Peggy has just been phenomenal. Pinnan's is so well loved in the community for everything that they do. Almost everyone that I come in contact with, including the pastoral services we had this morning, even our priests go to Pinnan's and get there and knew Peggy. So, there's just so many avenues of seeing support in the city of Rockford.
Pinnan's is expected to open this morning at 8 for their normal business hours. And right now, the man accused of killing Anderson is still on the loose. Here's a picture of that man. His name is William Jones, and he's 40 years old. If you know any information about where Jones is, you're encouraged to call Rockford Police or send a tip to their anonymous tip line. Now to another top story. Rockford police officer has been charged for battery. Winnebago County State's Attorney Jay Hanley confirming those charges. Hanley says Rockford officer Frank Fabiani faces 2 counts of battery stemming from an arrest he made last year of May. Fabiani was helping another officer arrest Elise Jones that night. After Jones was handcuffed, he pushed Jones ahead into a glass window, causing the window to break. Jones suffered injuries to his head and shoulder. Rockford Police Chief Carla Red releasing a statement about the incident, saying, quote, Rockford Police Department is committed to accountability and transparency. For the citizens we are sworn to serve and protect. Upon being made aware of the incident, Frank Fabiani was placed on administrative leave. And Rockford Mayor Tom McNamara also adding, quote, I'm disappointed in the actions of our officer. The citizen involved did not file a complaint. However, our internal processes worked. Regular review of body-worn camera footage successfully brought this incident to light. Once aware, our police department referred it to the state's attorney for review, end quote. And let's check in with your weather authority for a preview for your Friday forecast. Claudia, what's new this morning?
Well, we saw a couple snow showers moving through not only overnight, but still may catch a couple flurries as you head out the door early on. And those temperatures will also start to drop into the upper 20s. That'll happen a little bit closer to 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. Otherwise, we'll climb back into those low 30s. That's really all we get for today. We'll be a little bit cooler for your Friday. Cloudy as well, expecting mostly cloudy skies through the afternoon, as your weekend looks to bring potentially some accumulating snow. All of those details in my full forecast, Manny.
Claudia, thank you. Now to a consumer alert. Governor J.B. Pritzker announced the reopening of a home ownership program designed to help working class families and underrepresented communities of color throughout the state. The Opening Doors program is designed to aid lower income people of color who have historically faced barriers in their path toward home ownership. Those eligible will get a $6,000 in forgivable assistance for down payment and or closing costs. This latest round of assistance is funded through $8 million in state Rebuild Illinois capital funds and is expected to assist more than 1,300 potential homebuyers.
One community is handing out an extra security measure to help those who live in a high crime area. The city of Freeport is giving Ring doorbells to residents who live in the area you see on your screen. They are part of the City Pilots program, which they hope to help solve various crimes. To receive this camera, residents must live in the area and also have Wi-Fi. The city says that 23 cameras are still up for grabs. You can pick them up today at 8 a.m. at the Freeport Police Department at 320 West Exchange Street. You won't be able to link your favorite charity to your Amazon purchases for much longer. The retailer is closing down its Smile charity donation program next month. The program allowed shoppers to choose from a huge list, more than 1 million charities. Amazon would then donate a portion of the money shoppers spent to that selected charity. Though the program has donated $500 million in the last 10 years, Amazon says the average charity has received less than $230.
Amazon is also accused by federal safety regulators of failing to keep its workers safe at 3 of its U.S. warehouses. The Labor Department's Occupational Safety and Health Administration took action after inspecting 3 Amazon facilities in Florida, right here in Illinois, and New York State. OSHA says investigators found workers lifting packages that are, quote, were designed for speed but not safety and resulted in serious worker injuries. Amazon could face more than $60,000 in proposed penalties.
Now to a developing story. One of the biggest breaches in Supreme Court history is still a mystery. The Supreme Court says it's investigating the leak of the Dobbs opinion draft and has come up short. After a lengthy investigation, the High Court revealing they still don't know who leaked a draft opinion from the Dobbs case reversing Roe v. Wade. The investigative report says the court should implement better policies in the handling of sensitive information.
And one of our local reps in D.C., Dick Durbin, has major concerns about the leak, but hopes this investigation leads to more transparency. Durbin said in part, quote, "It's important that we address serious concerns about the court's lack of transparency and refusal to adopt a binding code of ethics. As the Marshal of the Supreme Court continues her investigation into the leak, it's important that we allow her process to continue," end quote. And coming up, the Wisconsin tourist attraction that has had to stay closed this season as warmer than average temperatures have hit the area.
Your 13 News Time is about to hit 5:42. Your Friday morning may feature a few flurries. Otherwise, the rest of the day will stay dry. This weekend, however, may bring a chance for some accumulating snow. I'll have more details in my forecast.
Welcome back. In positive local news, a Harvard junior high 8th grader wins big in a national essay contest. Isabella Lazaro was recognized as the middle school first place award winner in the National Association for Bilingual Education's 2023 Bilingual Student Essay Competition. In her essay, Lazaro explains how being bilingual strengthens the connection between all generations in her family. It was chosen out of more than 400 other applicants. And a local hospital, FHN, has awarded 4 scholarships to college students that have a desire to pursue a path in the medical field. Students had to write an essay about their strengths and goals to support the healthcare needs of FHN and the surrounding community. Top candidates interviewed for it, and the 4 students that are receiving a $1,000 scholarship are Keegan Coaster, Joe Namio, Brenna Schneider, and Crystal Gonzalez.
Now over to Wisconsin, where Lake Geneva's popular ice castles remain closed this month after organizers say warmer winter weather has made for challenging conditions. A spokesperson for the attraction says the Wisconsin location now has planned an opening date of January 27th, but even that will remain dependent on the weather. The experience includes features like ice slides, ice mazes, tunnels, and crawl spaces made up of icicles and more. The construction process for the experience began in early November with ice artists building the entire attraction using icicles they grow, harvest, and hand place one by one. New body camera footage out of Wisconsin from a snowstorm in December shows first responders acting quickly to save a woman from a car partially submerged in a pond. Caroline Rewald has the story.
With no time to waste,
she's still in there? Yeah, water's up to her chest.
Rescue crews worked to free a woman trapped inside her car December 22nd.
Hey, can you open that door at all? Here.
We try to go as quickly as possible because of the danger of hypothermia.
Around 10 p.m., the driver slid off Highway 175 near American Family Field and into an icy retention pond. A traffic camera caught the moment it happened. Now, new Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office body camera video obtained by 12 News shows the race to save her.
Here, give me it.
Crews dressed in specialized gear working in windshields that dropped to 22 degrees below zero.
If you can get on top, here, can you get the baton and smash that front window out? Here.
I don't know if that'll let more water in.
Especially in this weather, people don't last very long before they start losing their faculties.
Smashing the car windows, talking to the driver the entire time.
Close your eyes, man, but look away from the glass.
That's too much. I don't know. Can you get in there? Just breathe, Kimmy, okay?
Breathe. We're coming.
Eventually forcing the door open, using a rope to tie around the driver and pull her to safety. Sheriff's deputies later
That is so cold.
praising rescuers on their quick actions.
They are better people than me because
That was cold.
Well, early this morning, we're kicking off your Friday with mostly dry conditions. Some of us may have noticed a couple of flurries, if not lighter snow showers. Even that is starting to exit. Right now on the exact track, you can see a lot of that activity mainly staying east of I-39. May still catch a flurry or two this morning, but likely to stay dry for the rest of our day today, just cooler and cloudy. That's something that won't change as we head into the rest of our Friday. Temperatures, in fact, may still drop just a few degrees, falling into about 29 degrees closer to 8 a.m. as we then end up climbing back into those low 30s by the afternoon as cloud cover looms overhead. As we get a little bit further throughout our day, we'll transition to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures will hit those low 30s. You might even notice a light breeze. Winds may gust up to about 25 miles an hour later today. As they settle down into tonight, your temperatures will also drop. We're in for a little bit of a cooler night. If you do have any late night Friday plans, make sure you bundle up as temperatures will drop a little bit cooler, and we'll also have a cold start to our Saturday. Speaking of, most of the day tomorrow is looking to stay dry. However, snow showers will likely reach us heading late at night, even into early Sunday morning. Temperatures will stay within those low to mid 30s as that snow activity moves through, may even leave us some accumulating snow. Let's take a look at Future Track to see how that all shapes up. A lot of this activity will move in, especially after the 10 o'clock hour, heading into the overnight hours, even lingers early into Sunday morning. Here's just before 5:30. A lot of these snow showers, however, will quickly exit, leaving us with dry conditions for the rest of our weekend. In terms of how much snow we may pick up, looks around about an inch. Some places may pick up a little bit more than that. Right now, some of us trending a little bit closer to that 2-inch mark. Otherwise, looks to see about an inch, if not an inch and a half, as we head into our Saturday night, early Sunday morning, leading to some slick spots early into the day on Sunday. Got any brunch plans? If you're heading out to church even, make sure you take it slow and keep an eye on the forecast as that activity is expected to move through. It'll exit, though, early Sunday morning, so most of the day is expected to stay dry. We'll stay cooler as well, really sitting within those low to mid 30s moving forward. We'll stay dry Monday through Tuesday, and in your most accurate 10-day forecast, another chance for snow joins us into your Wednesday before we end up dropping into the 20s, 26 degrees by next Thursday. Looks like we'll stay chilly even through that extended forecast, Manny.